Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Club. This is where I usually say the episode title, but I've completely forgotten and forgot to look ahead of time. So this is me stalling as I pulled up. Episode 32. This is episode 32 of the Comic Book Club podcast. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you missed out last week, I apologize. There were truly insurmountable technical issues with our studio, so we unfortunately had to skip a week. But we are back this week. We are in the midst of covering Loki, Agent of Asgard, but we will not be talking about that this week. There is a bevy of news and headlines to get through, so I wanted to take a pause on that to talk about that. Longtime listeners will have noticed that my dear co-host Kendra Forte is not with us today. Do not fear. She'll be joining us in a little bit. She's just running a little late, unfortunately. So, with that, let's jump into some headlines. First up, this news is not an exclusive. This is was all over, every nerdy news outlet when it happened. Disney has delayed all of Marvel's 2022 releases, including Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, Black Panther 2. They've all been pushed back. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was pushed to May 6th from its initial date of March 25th. Thor Love and Thunder was pushed to July 28th. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever was pushed to November 11th. So, unfortunate news, but, I for one, have been going back to theaters for a couple of months now, but I understand that there are still swaths of people out there that are not comfortable in theaters. So that's that news. Those movies haven't been canceled, which is, that'd be the real kicker. And I don't know if Disney is going to be doing the same thing where they've been doing for their theater releases. Where they release them at the same time on Disney Plus, but for a fee. I don't think anything in this article says something about that, but we'll see how it plays out. Next headline. Let's see, what else do we got? This is news about the next Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. According to Tom Holland, this will be the end of his Spider-Man franchise. Whether that means it will be the last Tom Holland-centric movie or the last time he appears in the Spider-Man costume ever, we have, pretty hard to predict. But this seems to be the end of, at least Holland is viewing it as an end of an era. Hopefully that doesn't, hopefully he'll show up again in the Spider-Man costume. Right. Next headline. What do we got? This is okay, so there have been a lot of stuff lately concerning Superman. There's been a big period of change for Superman. A couple years ago, this was back in 2015, 2016, they introduced his biological son, John, as the new Superboy. And he was young. Other iterations of Superboy had been in early to mid-teens, but this Superboy was definitively prepubescent. More recently in, I want to say 2017 or 2018, they aged him up significantly to where he is now late teens, early 20s. And most
Is this the
recently,
one that's gay?
You really know how to ruin dramatic build-up, don't you,
Oh,
Kendra?
sorry.
Kendra's here, by the way,
So
folks.
sorry. My bad. I didn't realize this was news. I thought this had already been established.
Anyways, as I was saying, Jonathan Kent recently took over the role of Superman, graduating from boy to man, as Clark is canonically growing older and his powers are lessening. which is in and of itself a massive change in the status quo. But there were two more changes in the status quo to come about. First is that, okay, let me ask you something, Kendra. Do you know what Superman's motto is, like, classically?
No clue.
Truth, justice, and the American way?
Yes, that was a trivia question once.
Okay. Well, no longer is that his motto. The new Superman's motto is for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow.
I like that better.
Yeah. You know, having a superhero be... like, there's nothing wrong with a superhero being America-centric. Like, Captain America is, you know, Captain America. But in recent years, superheroes that have been, like, America first and only America have typically been portrayed as, at best, anti-heroes and at worst, villains. Characters like Peacemaker or Amanda Waller, Nuke, U.S. Agent. So I think this is a good move to sort of broaden Superman's horizons, because it wouldn't really make sense. It would be quite prejudiced to be like, yeah, this, you know, non-Earth-born alien has the powers to fix almost every problem, but he's only going to focus on this one country. Don't worry about it. And then the other big change that Kendra so kindly spoiled for us is that...
so sorry.
John Kent is now being portrayed as bisexual, which is very exciting. I love bi representation. I think it's bisexual. I could be wrong. I'm speed reading. Yes, bisexual, which is now the second prominent male DC superhero in recent times that has come out bisexual, joining my favorite Robin, Tim Drake. Unfortunately, Superman coming out as bi is not the big headline. The headline is instead actor Dean Cain, who had played Superman on TV shows in the 90s, who took to Twitter and popular talk show Fox and Friends to give his thoughts on Superman's bisexuality. And
I don't care.
As you can imagine, that he went on Fox and Friends to share his thoughts. They were not positive. He said that there was nothing bold or brave about it, and that the writers are just, quote, bandwagoning. This is a direct quote from Kane. He says, Brave would be him. Oh my God, I can't read today.
You'll get there.
Brave would be having him fighting for the rights of gay people in Iran, where they'll throw you off a building for the offense of being gay. They're talking about having him fight climate change and the deportation of refugees, and he's dating a hacktivist, whatever a hacktivist is. Why don't they have him fight the injustices that created the refugees whose deportation he's protesting? That would be brave. I'd read that. Or fighting for the blah, blah, blah. That would be brave. There's real evil today, blah, blah, blah. So he's basically... It's a straw man argument, you know? He's saying, like, this isn't brave, coming out as a marginalized people group for the most prominent DC superhuman. He should be doing these other things that are brave. Like, all right, dude, Mr. Straight White Old Man, what do you know? What do you know about being brave in modern times? Yeah, I don't know. I am very happy for this change. For those of you that don't know, I identify as bisexual, and it is fantastic to see representation like this, because I feel like bi men have been underrepresented in a lot of media. Kendra's making a face. That's an unrelated face. Oh, okay. I thought you were calling me out on something stupid I said. No, continue. Anyways, that's that headline. Dean Cain, shut up. You suck. What is next? Here's some news about the next Guardians of the Galaxy film. One of two Guardians of the Galaxy related headlines we have. So it has been rumored that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will bring in classic Marvel character Adam Warlock, who was like a artificial human that was built by evil scientists and then like went on to become this big space hero. He's usually involved with the Infinity Stones in some way. It has been revealed that actor Will Poulter will play Adam Warlock. Do I know who that is? Let me show you his face. He was in It's this guy.
Oh, I like that guy.
Yeah. He was in Midsommar, We're the Millers. I think was he in Maze Runner? Am I misremembering?
He's in Maze Runner.
He was in Maze Runner. Yeah, good actor. I like his stuff. Cool headline. The other big Guardians of the Galaxy headline is that the Guardians of the Galaxy video game is releasing this week. I am very excited for it. I have been burned. I've talked about the times I've been burned in the past by big superhero video games coming out, but this game seems to have learned from the mistakes of Marvel's, Sony's, PlayStation's, Square Enix's, Eidos Montreal's, Disney's Avengers. Guardians of the Galaxy is a single-player, story-driven game that focuses on the interactions between the Guardians themselves. Early reviews have already been coming out. They seem to be hovering around the 7 or 8 out of 10 range, and it will be releasing this Tuesday. Or we'll have released it. Whatever. We record on Mondays and release these on Wednesdays. So, like, time. Who cares? It's. If you're listening to this, it either will be out or it is out. Speaking of Marvel's Avengers, they recently put an update into this game that made it even worse. Surprise, surprise. So the game had already been plagued with, like, microtransactions. Each character had their own, like, private battle pass to unlock equipment and gear and costumes and the like. But the developers had sworn that they would never put in paid consumables to gain experience faster. Guess what they did?
Oh, no.
Yep. In a recent patch, they added in consumable experience boosts that cost real-life money, even though they said they wouldn't do that. So they added in microtransactions to a game that already was not getting good reviews and was already bleeding. It was already shedding players like rats off a sinking ship. So I really don't know what was going through their heads when they said, you know what we can do to make our game even worse? They
were like, all right, since it's already going bad, let's just make it super, super bad.
Super bad. So yeah, I did actually recently come across like some posts praising like the single player story of that game. So I feel like I will still one day swing back around to it, probably whenever it is that they add in Spider-Man, but probably not going to be anytime soon because I'm going to be too busy playing the better game, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I really wish I liked Guardians of the Galaxy.
You can get into them, I think. It's not too late.
It's just, I didn't like the movies.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because the Guardians movies are some of the best received to, like, people that are outside of the Marvel fandom. I'm basing that entirely off of my mother, who is very vocal about her opinions on superhero movies, and she really liked Guardians.
I didn't like Guardians. I really didn't.
Wasn't your cup of tea?
It just wasn't.
In other movie news, the next big MCU movie to release is Eternals, which has confirmed that its runtime will be 156 minutes.
What is that in real time?
It's well over 2 hours. Like 2.5 hours.
We'll not be seeing that.
I will be making you see that because I'm not going to see it myself. I'll probably see it myself.
You don't have an attention span for that. I mean, maybe you can hyper-focus on this.
Listen, if I'm sitting in a movie where it's just overwhelming... If I'm sitting in the theater where it's just overwhelming me with lights and sounds, what else am I going to focus on, you know?
That's true.
Will I pull out my phone and start scrolling Twitter around the 120-minute mark? Probably. But I'll eventually focus back in on the movie.
Back around to it.
I'll circle around. We have a lot more movie news. We have talking is a thing.
It's hard.
Next headline, and this is one I'm very excited for. A while ago, we talked about how the critically acclaimed indie comic Saga announced that it would eventually be coming back from hiatus, and we now have a confirmed date. Issue 55 of Saga will release January 2022. I'm incredibly excited for this. I wanted to put a pin in this when we circle back around to our segment where we talk about what we read recently, because I reread Saga in like 2 days because I was so excited about this news. We've talked about Saga a lot before. It is so good. It's considered like the best indie comic, and some consider it to be the best comic book in existence. It's written by Brian K. Vaughan and illustrated by Fiona Staples. Vaughan is genuinely, I know I say this about a lot of writers, but Vaughan is genuinely like top 3 comic book writers for me. So I am so stoked for issue 55 to release in January.
I'm trying to figure out how many volumes there are.
I typically read by issue, so I don't actually know like how many trade paperbacks they are packed into.
I've read 3 volumes, but I don't know what that translates to in issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll circle back around to that. We're now going to move on to another big, beefy headline, which was DC FanDome, which is a stupid name.
Bad name. Bad name of conventions.
It was a big event a couple of weekends ago where DC released a bunch of trailers and teasers and behind-the-scenes information for all of their upcoming projects. So we're gonna look through some of those. First up, we got a trailer for The Batman, which is the upcoming Batman solo movie featuring Robert Pattinson.
Yes. Yes.
This again, this looks like it's taking very heavy inspiration from Batman stories like Year One and Long Halloween, where Batman is and I don't like using this term very much, but it looks very grounded, you know, where they're focusing on Batman like taking on, you know, thugs and mobsters as opposed to clowns and clay monsters.
Do we know who's playing Joker?
Probably. I don't remember. Zoe Kravitz is playing Catwoman. Apparently,
yes.
Paul Dano is the Riddler. Jeffrey Wright is playing Jim Gordon. And someone's playing the Penguin, but I can't remember who. It's a big name.
Someone's playing it.
Someone's in it.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell is playing the Penguin. And he's like the most... Honestly, he's the most realistic... He's the first, like, iteration of the Penguin that looks the most like a normal dude. I think the only 2 other live action Penguins were like Danny DeVito's Penguin in Batman Returns, and then like the Penguin from the 1960s Adam West show, whose actor's name I'm blanking, but like both of them, they have like the big comical nose and they waddle around, and they don't look like exactly like they're humans, but this Penguin actually just looks like a dude. He just looks like a dude from New York.
Colin Farrell looks like he has something wrong with him. Colin Farrell looks like he would snap and kill me.
Wow, okay.
Colin Farrell, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but fix your face, dude.
We're unpacking some Colin Farrell related trauma that Kendra has. What's next? Oh yes. Another teaser trailer that released is Ezra Miller's The Flash.
The Flash! I just clicked on that link. Oh my god, I love Ezra Miller as The Flash.
Yeah, he was like the one bright spot one of the few bright spots in the 4.5-hour slog that was Zack Snyder's Justice League. But he's getting his own solo movie, except that it's not really a solo movie because they're doing a lot of like time travel and shifting timeline stuff, and this is now confirming that we will be revisiting the timeline from the 80s Michael Keaton Batman movies. And
I see that because I was like, why are there 2 Batmans listed?
Yeah, Michael Keaton himself will be returning to play his version of Batman. We only got a teaser trailer, so it was very light on details, but there was a shot with Ezra Miller and what looks like 2 younger versions of him all standing around in the 1980s Batcave. I don't know. I feel this is the same kind of thing I felt with like the way that they're bringing back old actors for Spider-Man Far From Home, where I'm afraid that the nostalgia and whatever of having old actors come in is going to I'm afraid there's not going to be enough space in the movie for Ezra Miller to breathe in his first ever solo venture, you know?
I feel like, okay, the only other notable names or like throwback name that shouldn't really be in a Flash movie is Michael Keaton. That's the only, we're pulling from a different timeline or a different time period type thing.
I don't know. It's just like, you finally have your chance to have your solo story about yourself after starring in two different versions of a big team-up movie. And it's like, yeah, but like, what if we also put in this beloved version of this character from an entirely different movie and used him to advertise the movie instead of focusing on you? Because we see next to nothing of Ezra Miller in this teaser trailer. It's all just shots of the 1980s Batcave. You know?
Well, you gotta draw them in somehow. But in a movie not about Michael Keaton, I feel like Michael Keaton shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, it's, can't make any statements now because we know next to nothing about the movie. But I am just hoping that Miller will have room to breathe in the role,
November 4th, 2022. Isn't that an election day? No. We'll get there when we get there.
You think I know when election day is? I read comic books. Next up, getting into some video game news, we have new trailers for both Gotham Knights and the upcoming Suicide Squad game. They're both story trailers. Gotham Knights is a very weird thing. I know we talked about this before, but like Gotham Knights is in a very weird space because it's not technically in the same timeline as the Batman Arkham games, but the plot involves Batman being dead, which is how the Arkham games last left off. So that seems very confusing to like the average consumer. But the story of Gotham Knights, Batman is supposedly dead, so his army of proteges of Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and Red Hood assemble to sort of take his place and protect Gotham City from the Court of Owls, which we talked about a while ago.
We did.
We covered the story where the Court of Owls first appeared, so they're going to be the main villain in Gotham Knights.
That's kind of messed up. They're kind of messed up.
They're spooky.
So it looks like I will be trying to play this game. From a person who got through all of 5 minutes of the Spider-Man game, I will not be getting far in this game, but I will drop decent money on it.
If it has like online multiplayer, we will be playing it together. Speaking of video games, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is actually in the Arkham universe, also got a new trailer. It elaborates a bit more on the story of how the Justice League are being sent in to kill the Justice League, who at this point have been taken over by Brainiac. I'm really interested in this because the Arkham games were really good at establishing how their world was different from like the mainline continuity, but up to this point we've only seen stuff inside Gotham. So for the first time we're seeing more of that world and how it differs. And I love stories where they differ from the mainline continuity. So within this new trailer, we saw the Arkhamverse versions of The Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, along with our protagonists, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark. I'm very excited for this game. I love the Arkham games. Rocksteady is very good at what they do. I'm looking forward to both of these games. Me too,
actually. Just because I would do anything for Harleen Quinzel.
And this is I would say the definitive version of Harley Quinn, if you're talking about specifically stuff that isn't in the comics. I don't think we have a release date for it yet. Back into teaser trailers, we got to see the first footage of Black Adam starring Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock?
The Rock? Yeah. This is something that had been confirmed for a while, but we're finally seeing footage of it. And this is something that I'm excited about. It looks like it's going to include a new rendition of the Justice Society, which is sort of the precursor to the Justice League. So my guess is that the movie is primarily going to be about Adam, who was like a hero turned dictator in ancient Egypt, being released from whatever captivity he was magically forced into in quote-unquote modern day, whether that means the 2020s or the 1940s, and coming into conflict with the Justice Society. Black Adam has always been a very complex character, like a real definition of an anti-hero where like he's doing like his ends justify his means, so he's doing what it takes to protect his country or whatever, but maybe sometimes that means massacring an entire army.
Sounds good to me.
And I just I don't know. Say what you will about The Rock, but he's got a great charisma around him, you know?
It's The Rock. It's The Rock.
Speaking of that sort of family of characters.
Wait.
Yeah.
The problem is The Rock has the same issue as other actors that we've talked about before. I guess not on the show, but The Rock doesn't play a character. The Rock plays The Rock in a different environment. I
see what you're saying. This is a conversation that we've had a lot off mic, where some actors, when you see them in their roles, it's not like, oh, that's that character played by this actor. It's this actor in this movie. My go-to example is like, what's his name? He was in The Mask. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, that's who I was thinking of.
Jim Carrey never plays a character. He is just Jim Carrey in different costumes.
Yeah, this is just The Rock in a new situation.
I'm intrigued, because The Rock, like 90% of the time, I feel plays very heroic roles because he just has that kind of raw charisma.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see how he takes on a more villainous character. I'm very intrigued. Speaking of that family of characters, we did not see any actual footage, I don't think, but we got some like behind the scenes peeks at Shazam 2, which is subtitles Fury of the Gods. I'm a big fan of Shazam 1. I think it's the best DCEU movie so far. So I am pumped for Shazam 2, and that's all I have to say about that, because there was like no footage for it.
Didn't watch Shazam 1.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm showing you Shazam 1. I do own it on Blu-ray.
I know. I've seen it in your apartment, like, wow. Shazam 1. And then you ask, what do you want to watch? And then my brain forgets about it completely.
Yeah, we'll get around to it. We also got a behind-the-scenes look at Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And that's all I have to say about that.
Into that statement.
Aquaman 1 was a very average movie. It was okay. Moving on.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything else to say. We also got our first trailer at the Peacemaker HBO Max TV series. Did you ever see
Nope.
the Suicide Squad?
Nope.
Oh my goodness. Well, another thing that we'll need to watch. This is a spin-off of last summer's The Suicide Squad. John Cena is reprising his role as the Peacemaker, and it looks just to be more of the same, of him being a very unlikable yet enthralling character. Like I can't really use the language that I want to, but he's the kind of character that's kind of like a car crash, where it's like, ooh, I hate this guy, but I can't take my eyes away, you know?
I don't know if I want that. Like, as a series, I don't know. I don't know if I want that.
Maybe you'll just have to check out the trailer and
I will
see what you
report back with my feelings.
What else? Oh yes, another HBO Max series. I think it's animated. It's called Batman Caped Crusader, and it is. I want to say. Let me see if I can find more information about it. Because I'm using this kind of like a list of stuff. I'm using an IGN article that just lists everything revealed without giving like that much detail. So I'm diving into another article to see if I can find more. Yes, it is an animated series called Batman Caped Crusader, and it will be adapting the style of the golden age of comics from like the late 30s and 40s. Which is very intriguing, because that era of comics is, for the most part, ignored in like modern superhero media. So I am intrigued to see how they will adapt it to an animated series, because those stories are like very mature and a lot less whimsical than what we associate with superhero stories. What else? We got the titles of 4 new animated films and nothing else. We got Teen Titans Go and DC's Superhero Girls, which is a crossover, I guess, between those 2 children's shows.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah. I'm with that.
Whoop.
Keep going.
Okay. Green Lantern, Beware My Power. Love to see Green Lantern representation. Battle of the Super Sons, and Batman The Long Halloween, which I think we had already known about. Didn't that already come out? Whatever. And that's all the information we have. That's pretty much it. We also got 2 concept art designs for upcoming live-action movies, that being Batgirl and Blue Beetle.
Yes, Blue Beetle. Which Blue Beetle, though?
Jaime Reyes.
Good.
I'm showing Kendra the concept art for the Batgirl costume right now.
Hot.
And let me pull up. This is the Blue Beetle art.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm excited for that.
I love Blue Beetle, like both Jaime Reyes and Ted Kord. And I'm just now noticing in this concept art that Kord Industries is in the background, so maybe they'll both make an appearance. They're like my favorite like B or C level DC characters, so I'm excited to see them take on the big screen. We also got a trailer for Catwoman Hunted, which is an upcoming animated movie to be released on February 8th, 2022.
Oh, that's...
Apparently Catwoman's getting her own animated movie. What else did we get? We got more information about the Netflix series The Sandman, which adapts a DC-owned line of comics that I have never read, but they're very well received. They're pretty metaphysical. It's all about, like, incarnations of death and sleep and all that kind of stuff. And it's getting a Netflix series. We got a glimpse at DC League of Super Pets, which is an animated movie featuring Dwayne Johnson as Crypto the Superdog and Kevin Hart as Ace Bat-Hound.
I don't want that. You can keep that.
It's... man, I don't know.
You can 100% keep that.
This, honestly, so far it just sounds like Secret Life of Pets, but with superhero names.
Yeah. It's got Kevin Hart in it. This is going to be a joke of a movie.
It's yet another Dwayne Johnson Kevin Hart picture, but this time it's animated and has the full weight of... This is
a joke of a movie.
Maybe it'll be good.
I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just saying it's not going to be anything a DC fanboy would want to see.
Yeah, I'll probably end up watching it, like, not in theaters. When I'm just like, I got nothing else to watch.
Who's going to see this in theaters?
Children. I do think it is just made for children. They also announced a spin-off game called DC League of Super Pets: The Adventures of Crypto and Ace, which will be an on-rails shooter releasing in spring 2022. And it seems like it's just going to be the bare minimum tie-in game. Like, just basically a glorified mobile game from what I've seen of the footage. What else? We got a sneak peek at season 2 of Stargirl, which I don't know anyone that watches that show. They announced a tie-in with Meshika, which I think is like a clothes company, for a Superman hat that costs $750.
Ah, yes. The average hat cost.
We got some comic book news. We got some more information about the upcoming Wonder Woman event called Trial of the Amazons. Wonder Woman, if you remember back in like 2019, sort of ascended to godhood, and just recently, in the pages of her own comic, returned back to the mortal realm, because of course she did, because comics love the status quo. So, from what I've read, the upcoming Trial of the Amazons event will sort of set the new status quo for Wonder Woman and those related characters. We also got information that a new 12-issue series called Monkey Prince will be released. Monkey Prince was introduced in some, like the pages of some comic. I don't even remember. I know I read it at some point. I think it was in some like big one-shot like anthology thing. But it looks like it's DC's adaptation of like the classical, Journey to the West characters. Yep. Mm-hmm. We got more information about season 3 of Batwoman. Again, I don't know anyone that watches that show. There was time spent on the official farewell to Supergirl, the TV show, which I forgot that was still running. Superman and Lois season 2. Oh, this is... okay. So... okay. So another trailer that was released was a teaser for Naomi season 1. And Naomi is a character created by Brian Michael Bendis when he joined DC, and then he forcefully shoehorned into almost every other comic that he was writing, including Young Justice, Superman, Action Comics, and Justice League.
Guess who's here?
So I guess he also managed to get a TV show made about her. I don't know.
That's called being proud of your work.
It has been like 3 years since Naomi was introduced, and they are still incredibly vague about her superpowers. The information we do know is that she came to Earth 1 from some other Earth, which, like, okay, because Brian Michael Bendis' little Mary Sue is special and doesn't come from one of the numbered Earths, comes from a new Earth. Okay. And that's pretty much all the information we got. I have talked about Brian Michael Bendis on a previous episode, and this is just this. I really do think that this is like the perfect example of the negative aspects of Brian Michael Bendis' writing. But we're not going to talk more about it.
Oh, sick! Doom Patrol is back.
We got more information about an upcoming Match 3 mobile puzzle game called DC Heroes and Villains. The DC's imprint Milestone Media, which focuses primarily on superheroes of color within its own self-contained universe. That's where like Static Shock comes from. They're going to make a feature-length animated movie starring Static and other Dakotaverse heroes. Oh, this is a big thing. They just dropped 2 whole episodes of Young Justice Phantoms. They're just like, hey, by the way, this is coming out. Here's the first 2 episodes. Have fun. So they just...
I saw that. I did see that.
So that's season 4 of Young Justice, which I know was coming, but they were just like, yeah, we'll tell you when it's coming out. It's coming out today.
It's starting now.
Have fun. So I'm very excited to watch that. We never got through season 3.
No, we did not.
So we got to get on that.
And when I tell you I remember nothing of season 3, nothing of season 2, it's been a while.
I mean, hey, I will take any excuse to watch more Young Justice.
So. Well, we have so much to watch.
Yeah. And then Titans got a season 4 announcement along with a clip from the season 3 finale. Okay.
I wanna make you watch Titans because I think you'll like Superboy's portrayal.
We'll see. I've seen mixed things on like social media about it, about how it's very fan servicey and how it's both a good thing and a bad thing about it. And then finally, there was just like a cute little tribute to Legends of Tomorrow, which I think is the best of the Arrowverse TV shows, because it's the least serious. Because the Arrowverse shows were always bogged down by like the fact that they were on the CW, which meant that they were like soap operas first and then superhero shows second. But Legends of Tomorrow was about a bunch of secondary and tertiary characters from the other Arrowverse shows getting on a spaceship and traveling through time. So it was always my favorite back when I was big into the Arrowverse, because they just like didn't care. It wasn't very serious. They're just like, let's go back in time and mess around with Julius Caesar or whatever. Like, oh no, this like teddy bear from the future is turned into a giant monster. We got to fight it. And that's DC FanDome. A lot of good stuff. And that's all that I have for headlines. So let's move on to reviews. We have a couple of stuff that came out, or TV shows that finished coming out that I want to talk about. First, let's talk about What If. I know the finale came out a while ago, but between our technical issues and Crisis, we never got a chance to talk about it. Did you ever finish What If? Okay.
No.
I will give my thoughts then. Those of you that are dedicated listeners know that I am a big sucker for alternate timeline stories. And What If does deliver on that promise. And it's good. Like it's good at what it does. It's good both as its own thing, it's good as being part of the MCU, and it's good as an homage to the older What If stories. However, there are a couple of things that bog it down, and I feel like it would be quicker to list the things that I did not like than to go over all the things that I did like. First and foremost is the art style. What If is an animated show, but they have this art style where they're trying to mix like cartoonish, cel-shaded colors with like maintaining realistic looking character designs. And it just doesn't like it's a weird halfway point between like realistic CG and more like cartoony cel-shaded. And I feel like if they had and this is going to be a recurring theme where they keep trying to like dip their hands in 2 different cookie jars, and I feel like if they just dedicated to one, it would have gone better. the next one in that regard is the voice acting. They got some of the live action cast back to portray the animated version of their characters, and some of them they got impersonators. And in both camps, there's good and there's bad. Like Tom Hiddleston does a really good job of voicing Loki in the episodes where he's in, but Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Doctor Strange is pretty weak. And as for the impersonators, I want to say Blake Lively is voicing Black Widow, and she does a very...
What?
I'm pretty sure I just kicked my phone across the recording studio, so I am no longer going to check the name. Let's see here, pulling up IMDb. Blake
Lively's my girl. I will watch just to hear Blake Lively.
As for the either the new characters or the impersonators, Jeffrey Wright does an excellent job as the Watcher. Who the why? Did I accidentally pick one episode and not the whole series? Why is it not giving me the full voice cast? Give full voice cast. Okay, I could. I don't know why it's doing this to me. IMDb is being rude, and I do not appreciate it. I'm pretty sure it's Blake Lively. We're gonna say it's Blake Lively. Blake Lively does a really good job as Black Widow, but whoever they got to voice Tony Stark is doing his best RDJ, and his best RDJ is not very good, unfortunately. Maybe impersonators isn't the right term, just whoever they got for to do those characters. They're trying to sound like the live action actors, and it's not great. It's very jarring to hear it's very jarring to hear Chadwick Boseman playing T'Challa, and then Fred Tastacore, I think, did Drax instead of Dave Bautista. It's jarring. I think they either should have just gone full in to accommodate for all of the live action actors, or just fully replaced them with a new voice cast like they did with the Avengers Assemble TV show tie-in that was on Disney Plus, or Disney XD back in 2012. What else? One of the things I did like is that it wasn't afraid to get dark, which is a staple of What If. A lot of older What If stories just end on very bleak notes, or end with a big twist that things are going to get worse off page, and the What If TV show is not afraid to do that. The zombie story and the Doctor Strange story end on pretty dark notes, but they kind of undo all of the points that they lose all the points that they earned by having their finale episode being a big team up between all of the different versions of the heroes. Especially because the Doctor Strange story was basically a what if Doctor Strange was evil kind of thing, and then the big finale episode, the big team up episode, is kind of a redemption arc. And it's well, you just undid all the interesting stuff about his character. Now he's just Doctor Strange again. So I really do think that the individual stories would have held up better if they were left as individuals, instead of combining all of them to be oh, they're heroes of the multiverse now. But yeah, I mean, it was still good. I would give it on our thumbs rating, I would give it a solid thumbs up. I recommend it. What else came out? Shang-Chi. I already talked about Shang-Chi on an early episode. Mm-hmm. Venom 2.
Venom 2.
We saw Venom 2.
Venom 2.
Venom 2. Do you have any thoughts you want to give on Venom 2, Kendra?
Nowhere near a cinematic masterpiece. Complete, a film major would see this and cry. And yet,
I love it.
Love it. Fantastic movie. You will watch it and have a good time. There are no deep underlining meanings to anything.
No themes, no thoughts.
No themes, no thoughts.
Just Eddie Brock doing his weird, implaceable accent. and
super high.
You climb a tree, just drive a super tall tree.
Super fast. Oh.
I would say, I think, I don't know. There's something that did better than its predecessor. I would say that, like, Venom 1 I love, but, like, not in any way that the movie wants. Like, none of the things that the movie wants me to like it for is why I like Venom 1. I like Venom 1 because it's a trash fire of a movie. Venom 2, I think, got the gist that, like, oh, people aren't watching us for, like, dark, serious anti-hero things. They're watching us to see, what's the actor's name? Tom
Hardy.
Tom Hardy argue with himself in a weird accent for an hour and a half. And that's what it delivers.
And that's what it did. And we loved to see it.
Yeah. I will, like, I don't know. We could go on for a very long time about how, like, the again, like with Venom 1, the things that the movie wants us to enjoy are bad. Like, the conflict between Eddie and Venom is the exact same conflict from the first movie. The plot makes absolutely no sense, and they don't, like, use their only female, one of their only female leads very well. Like, Shriek, which is the primary female antagonist, does pretty much nothing.
No, she wasn't in most of the movie. And
then right when you think she's going to do something to affect the plot, she dies. She
immediately was gone.
Okay. Oh, spoilers for Venom 2, by the way.
Whoops.
It is the perfect movie. It's a perfect bad movie. It's so bad it's good. And I know that's a cliche, but really Venom 2 is so bad it's good.
It's not even so bad it's good anymore, because I think they made it bad on purpose. It's just a good loop back around to just being a good movie.
Yeah.
It was so bad it looped back around to being good.
There's just so much stuff that, like, there's a scene where Cletus Cassidy and Woody Harrelson's performance is awful, but that's what makes it good. He just, like, talks.
I loved it. He was, like, just completely unhinged. At one point, he kicks a cashier in the face, and I'm like, yeah, go for it, dude.
He talks in, like, poems all the time, and it's really, like, just not what that character's supposed to be like, but whatever.
I assumed it was explained in the first, like, 3 minutes of the movie that I missed why he was, like, talking in poems.
No.
Okay.
It just showed him as a kid also talking in poems.
He was just a weirdo. Oh, love that man.
There's this scene, my favorite scene in the movie is that he teams up with Carnage and goes to break his girlfriend Shriek out of like the facility she's being held in, and they drive up in this, like, stolen convertible, and he murders with Carnage and goes on monster mode and tears through, and then he grabs Shriek and bursts through the ceiling, and the arc of their jump lands them perfectly in the waiting convertible, which they speed off in. It's like, you could not have known that that's where you left the car. And then he lets Shriek, who's been sitting in, like, a tiny glass box since 1995, take the wheel. And she's like, oh, yeah. Like,
oh, yeah, I can do this.
I'm so good at driving. And it's like, what?
No, I'm positive that was, like, a stick shift. So that wasn't a random, like, push and go car. She was doing some magic with the turns she was pulling off.
This movie is wonderful.
Love it.
What do we rate it?
Oh, out of 2 thumbs, I wish I had more thumbs.
So I think this is our first ever 2 thumbs up.
Oh, I think we've given something else 2 thumbs up. I think we gave WandaVision 2 thumbs up.
We could have. I don't remember. But yeah, this gets 2 thumbs
up.
But
this gets, like...
But, like, not for any of the reasons that the movie wants to be rated good.
This is, I wish I grew a third arm to give it another thumbs up. This was...
Oh yeah, also, big spoilers. It ends with Venom literally just being sucked into the MCU. Like, it's not even a reveal that he's been in the MCU the whole time. He's just, like, chilling in some hovel, and then a hole in space opens up, and he ends up in the MCU, sees Peter Parker on television, and immediately goes, yo, I hate that guy.
Actually, screw that, man.
There's some insinuation where Venom is like, oh, like, I have a hive mind that connects with other symbiotes across universes. So, like, maybe it could be that he connected with, like, the symbiote from Spider-Man 3 from the Sam Raimi trilogy, and that's how he knows Peter Parker. But, like, it's a very quick line.
That wouldn't even explain why he knew Tom Holland's Peter Parker.
Yeah, no, it's a very quick line that he mentions the hive mind, and then they get sucked through, and the TV happens to be on, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man happens to be on the news, and Venom just goes, I'm gonna kill that guy. And that's how the movie ends.
I cast kill that man.
I love this movie so much.
Masterpiece.
Masterpiece. Woo. What else do we got? Very quickly, we've got like 8 minutes left. Let's talk about what we've been reading. I finished up reading like very old X-Men stuff, and I was like, Saga's coming out. I should reread it. And I ended up rereading everything in less than 2 days, and I cried 3 times. I don't know if we'll ever be able to talk about it on the podcast, at least not while we're like associated with the radio station, because it is way more mature than I remembered it being.
Also, it's very long. We will never get through that.
Yeah, but like so is Invincible, and we managed to cover. I was just gonna do what we usually do, where we just, if it's like a longer ongoing, we just pick like the first arc or whatever, and be like, here's how it is. Go ahead if you want, But yes, Saga is incredible. I cried. I'm very excited for the next one. Did you read anything interesting?
I did reread the first issue of Saga.
Okay.
That is about all I had time for.
Cool.
I've been more into like mangas recently.
Okay. Next week we will return to Loki, Agent of Asgard. I think we'll be covering like issues 7 through 12 probably, or something like that. Whatever issue we ended on like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I think we only did one episode of it, so we're like on issue like
6,
4 or 5.
No, I think we got to issue 6. I know that it's very jarring that we were like in the middle of covering that. But whatever. Last week we had technical issues. This week DC FanDome happened, so we're going to get back to it. Probably going to spend 2 more episodes on it. So that's what you can look forward to next week if you tune in. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to talk to us, if you want to send us recommendations of comic books to read, if you have questions about anything we talked about, if you have your own thoughts on any of the previews or any of the reviews that we did, you can tweet us. You can get to us on Twitter at CBBCPod. That's at CBBCPOD on Twitter. Or you can email us at cbbcpod@gmail.com. I've been your host, Matt Lasik.
I've been your co-host, Kendra Forte.
And until next time, Excelsior!